Now listen. You may have heard these words before, but I'll teach you what they really mean. Go beyond! Plus!
Hey, what is up, my fellow Beyonders? Plus Ultra James here, coming at you with another video from Go Beyond Comics. I hope you guys are doing awesome today. So today's video, we are back with the Transformers Shattered Glass series. I honestly can't believe the amount of views, likes, and comments my first video on this series got. Like, I'm so shocked. I'm so thankful. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all you guys who watched the video, who liked it, who commented on it, and then ended up subscribing to this channel because of it. Like, you don't know what that meant to me. I honestly appreciate it. Thank you again to all you Beyonders, I should call you now. Today's video, we're covering issue 2 of this series, and it's going to be basically on what happened to Megatron. So with that being said, let's dive right into this issue. So the issue opens up with a recap of what happened in the last issue. If you want to watch the video, link is in the description box down below, or you'll see a link pop up right here. We left off with Starscream following coordinates that would lead him to Megatron, and that's who we see next, Megatron walking in the Rust Sea. And we find out this is where he has been going on hundreds of cycles now without seeing another Decepticon. Starscream finally finds him, but Megatron doesn't want to get involved with him, it seems like. He even says that he told Starscream to stay away from there. Starscream approaches, but then faints because of his wounds from the battle with Blurr and the gases of the Rust Sea. To me, it really seems like Megatron wishes Starscream never found him. Like, he seems like he's beat down from the countless cycles of war that occurred, and he's just given up. He reluctantly brings Starscream to his hideout in order to fix him. Megatron asks Starscream once he awakens, like, what happened to him, and Starscream lets him know about his battle with Blurr, how there's a sizable bounty on his head right now. He even says something interesting on how he thinks they tracked him. It could have been either he was overheard or that it was Jetfire. But if that's the case, there's nothing that can be done about it. So I wonder, was Jetfire captured and then tortured for information, or worse, betrayed Starscream in the cause? Trying to change the subject, Starscream takes notice of how Megatron's been living and says the great Decepticon leader has been living as a driller. He then talks about the first day he saw Megatron, and Megatron then mentions how Starscream always tried his hardest for Megatron to take notice of him no matter how many times he turned him away. And we find out the reason why Megatron turned him away so many times, because he didn't want to put a scholar on the battlefield, which is interesting to find out that Starscream was a scholar when we know him as like one of the douche Decepticons. But anyways, we then go to a flashback of when Starscream first saw Megatron, and it was during the early protests on Cybertron in front of the Senate. Starscream was there arguing for public funding for his work with Jetfire. We see Megatron arguing with Prowl, who we know now is currently one of the Autobot warlords on Cybertron. They're arguing because Prowl attacked Megatron's friend Ratbat here for getting too close to the building. And Ratbat is an interesting looking Transformer. He's a cute little guy. Megatron calls out Prowl here, saying that if he was a part of the counter protest, would he have touched him then? He also continues on saying like how bots have grown comfortable with the pathetic hierarchy where laborers are worthy of nothing but cruelty. That if Prowl knows his name, he doesn't know why he thought he would let him get away with touching Ratbat. I love this Megatron. Megatron is taking no crap from Prowl. Prowl says to Megatron, though, he may get his way with things because of his friendship with the senators and Orion, but him and his mining trash are still subject to the laws. And before he can even finish that sentence, Megatron grips up Prowl, telling him to say trash again, and he'll see what trash is capable of. He tosses Prowl on the ground and tells him to run off and tell his friends, tell everyone what happened here. Starscream says that he loved how Megatron showed the Autobots that they're not above them. But Megatron kind of shatters this memory, no pun intended, of Starscream's first time seeing him, when Megatron sees it as the first time he was arrested, being the first of examples of what happens to you when you don't stay in your place. But Starscream kind of tells him that that drama, though, played a large role in his friend Ratbat being elected to the Senate, which to me is pretty cool and funny that that little guy became a senator. But anyways, Megatron finds out why Starscream is really here, and it's basically because he has that huge target on his back and he needs his help. He needs his help to recruit others to the cause, but he needs a leader. Like I said earlier, this is a Megatron who seems like he's given up. And he makes this very clear here when he tells Starscream if things are that bad, he needs a leader, but he is no leader. We then go to a flashback of after Megatron's first arrest. He's set free because of his friend Orion Pax, who we know will eventually become Optimus Prime. And that's what I'm going to call him from here on out, even though they're still calling him Orion. I gotta say, I love the look of this evil Optimus with his glowing red eyes. He looks so badass. This scene we get here is also just awesome because it's a clashing of ideologies here. We see Optimus is pissed with Megatron for not only not thanking him for his release, but also not apologizing for his actions and how their friendship affects his ambitions and plans in bringing order to Cybertron. When Megatron says to Optimus, "I owe you nothing," we find out Optimus has been protecting Megatron in a way. Now, he could be lying, but I don't think so. He says he's vouched for him many times, covered up the chaos of the protests by calling them a fight for rights and to show empathy, that he didn't have to do any of that until Megatron started the Decepticon protests. However, Megatron points out that this all started after what Optimus and his secret police did to Shockwave, who we find out in this reality was a senator. We find out Optimus reinstituted an ancient ritual called Porata, which is Latin for amputate. It's a ritual of removing the heads and hands of those they consider criminals and installing new faceless, fingerless replacements so everyone knows to shun them. That's the torture Shockwave endured, but the surgery went wrong and it consumed and overwhelmed him. Optimus denies having any part of that, saying to Megatron that he's just spouting conspiracy theories, that if he does have that type of power, then he should watch his voice box unless he wants to join Shockwave. This pushes Megatron to the edge. He punches Optimus right in the chest, knocking him back. Optimus immediately responds with a punch of his own, hitting Megatron in the face. Just as they're about to go all out, they get interrupted. Megatron walks away. Optimus tells him that he could have joined him, been on his side, but Megatron simply says, "I could never have been on your side." As Megatron and Starscream walk the Rust Sea, Starscream points out that it looks like Megatron wants to rust away. And I like that he says this to Megatron because it does look like we have a Megatron here who does want to die, who is slowly dying and doesn't want to live anymore. What happened to cause him to feel this way? And that's what we find out. Megatron refuses to help Starscream and be the leader of the Decepticons again, and tells Starscream does he not remember what his leadership cost the Decepticons. We learn what that great cost was with a flashback of the final battle on Earth between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Megatron's given the Decepticons a great speech before the battle, and from this speech we learn that just like Optimus in the normal reality, I guess I could call it, Megatron also crash landed on Earth with some of his fellow Decepticons. They found rarefied energon on Earth, and ever since then they've tried to protect Earth and its resources from the Autobots. The battle takes place after this speech, and we see Megatron and Optimus just going at it. Blasts are exchanged. Optimus throwing a kick, Megatron blocks it, but it leaves him open to a blaster fire to the chest from Optimus. Optimus is winning the fight really at this point, but Megatron refuses to give up. He decides he's like ready to die right then and there to protect everyone. Optimus destroys his blaster, but Megatron swings his sword, taking out Optimus's blaster, but in the end, Optimus was still victorious. Megatron laid there beneath Optimus, and after the battle being left there amongst the bodies, just waiting for his spark to go out, but it never happened. Either way, to him, Megatron, the great leader of the Decepticons, did die that day. He scoured the Earth looking for a ship. Once he did, he patched himself up, and he patched up the ship and went right back to Cybertron, only to find that the Decepticons were scattered or dead, and 3 evil warlords were ruling and fighting each other on Cybertron. Though Megatron saw himself as a fool willing to fight a monster like Optimus and willing to be a martyr for the cause, Starscream just tells him how he and his men saw things way differently that day. They saw a dashing, heroic leader dove into battle with no fear, who saved one of his soldiers, Thundercracker, from Bumblebee, fought wave after wave of Autobots, brought down tyrants, and a leader who was a hero. When the Decepticons realized that the battle was lost, Megatron ordered all of them to leave, to round up every Decepticon possible and leave the planet, while he stayed to buy them as much time as possible to sacrifice himself. Starscream basically tells Megatron that just because he lost, that doesn't make him not a leader anymore. And the bots that fell that day isn't his fault. The Decepticons lived on because of those he saved. That if he doesn't lead the Decepticons again right now, they will continue to be scattered. No one else can rally the Decepticons, and they won't join behind anyone else except him. Megatron asked though, even if he did agree to be the leader, what cause could they fight for now? What cause could they rally behind? That's when we learn about a conversation Starscream and Megatron had before about theoretically using Starscream's spark as an indestructible safe. Starscream reveals that it isn't theoretical anymore, that they can use what he has inside him to wake the Titans and take back Cybertron. And that is the end of the issue, my fellow Beyonders. This issue is honestly amazing. Like, we got a flashback of what happened to the war on Earth between Megatron and Optimus. We got flashbacks of their friendship, of the drama that caused them to be at odds. We got everything in here, and I honestly enjoyed everything. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below anything I missed, or anything you're looking forward to, or anything that you think was very interesting that I didn't see here. Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. And other than that, have an awesome day. Take care, and always remember every day to go beyond plus ultra. See you guys.